Welcome to the Israel Daily News Podcast. I'm your host, Shanna Fold, and I'm here to get you caught up quickly. I've got some top stories for you today from Israel, and guess what? You're listening, so you're already on top of your game. Survive and thrive, people. Knowledge is the best weapon. Today is Thursday, July 10th, 2025 in the Gregorian calendar, and the 15th of Tammuz in the Hebrew calendar. Stay tuned for the end of this show when we have our weekly Torah thought from Rabbi Yossi Madvig of Oswego, New York. Today's podcast is being recorded in audio. My home and the Israel Daily News studio was blown up by an Iranian ballistic missile just weeks ago. You can hear the full story of that if you just go back a few episodes, and you'll hear the sound of the missile exploding outside of my window, which I caught on audio and put into the podcast. Today, after a long day of running from rockets, filling out paperwork for the state, and apartment hunting, I'm going to record the news with voice instead of video. I'll be back on camera Monday, where you can hear and see the show on Spotify and YouTube at Israel Daily News. Now, let's get to the news. Israelis were woken up suddenly this morning at 5 a.m. when Yemen launched missiles into Israel. The IDF said it identified the launch from Yemen with air defense systems activated to intercept the threat. The attack triggered sirens in parts of central Israel, the Jerusalem area, and some West Bank settlements. We all ran down into the safe room, some barefoot and unprepared. The IDF announced the missile was intercepted. No reports of damage, injury, or death have been reported. A 22-year-old Israeli man was killed Thursday in a terror attack at a West Bank shopping center when two Palestinians opened fire and also attempted to stab bystanders. Civilians with weapons and soldiers who were at the scene shot and killed the attackers, who were identified as residents of a nearby village called Halul, which is now surrounded by Israeli forces. Paramedics found the victim unresponsive in the parking lot and pronounced him dead at the scene. Both attackers were shot dead by armed Israelis. Authorities are investigating whether the guard was also struck by gunfire as they continue to clarify the details of the attack. Security officials say there's no indication that more attackers are in the area, though a sweeping operation to tell is underway. The Yesha Council blamed the government's lack of strategic action in the West Bank, calling for full Israeli sovereignty and more aggressive military operations to combat the violence in the West Bank or Judea and Samaria. It depends on how you call it. It is disputed territory. An Israeli soldier, Master Sergeant Reservist Abraham Azulai, was killed during a Hamas abduction attempt in southern Gaza when militants emerged from a tunnel and attacked IDF troops. Israeli forces prevented the terrorists from seizing the 25-year-old's dead body. The IDF has since escalated its ground operations in both southern and northern Gaza, with battles intensifying around Beit Hanun, where 5 Israeli soldiers were recently killed in a Hamas ambush. IDF Chief of Staff Lieutenant General Eyal Zamir said the offensive is aimed at weakening Hamas and creating the conditions necessary to reach a hostage deal, though negotiations remain stalled. Prime Minister Netanyahu returned from Washington without announcing progress, as talks continue to be bogged down by disputes over the scope of IDF withdrawal during a proposed ceasefire. Meanwhile, Gaza's humanitarian crisis worsens during ongoing strikes, fuel shortages, and overcrowding near the IDF's proposed humanitarian city in southern Gaza, which has drawn international concern. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Israel is not forcing Palestinians to leave Gaza, but is instead offering those who wish to depart the chance to do so. It's about freedom of choice, he told reporters ahead of a meeting with Senate Majority Leader John Thune, rejecting claims of forced displacement. No one is being pushed out, he said. When President Donald Trump of the United States first introduced his Gaza plan in February, he openly spoke of permanently relocating the entire population. While he has since stopped using that language, Israeli officials have leaned into it, portraying the concept as a way to enable voluntary migration. Some of today's news bites are powered by our partner, Bernie News Network, or BNN. For fast and precise updates, you can join BNN on WhatsApp and Telegram at their website, bernie.news. A new bill submitted by member of Knesset Zvika Fogel of Otzma Yehudit would allow a newly formed Israeli government to dismiss nearly all senior security and public officials within its first 100 days in office. I just want to read that again. It would allow a newly formed Israeli government to dismiss nearly all existing senior security and public officials within its first 100 days in office. First 100 days in office. The legislation targets top roles like the Attorney General, IDF Chief of Staff, Shin Bet, and Mossad heads, Police Commissioner, and others. Officials who have served more than 2/3 of their term could be fired without cause, while others could be dismissed under special circumstances like major disagreements with the government. The bill would remove current protections that require cause and judicial oversight for dismissals. The Ministerial Committee for Legislation is set to decide on Sunday whether to support the controversial proposal. I want to thank all of you for your interest in Israeli affairs, Israeli politics, our world politics. I also want to thank all of you who personally finance and fund the Israel Daily News podcast with monthly contributions. You can support us by going over to our new website, israeldailynews.org, and clicking on donate. There's a Patreon link there for a monthly subscription. There's also options for one-time donations. Our organization is operational thanks to listeners and supporters like you. Thank you to Marianne Vollinger for her monthly support. In response for your contributions, I'll send over a handwritten thank you note to show my appreciation. But I do need your address. Okay, I'm looking for someone with the last name Aftergood, and I need your address so that I can send you a thank you note, or else I don't know where you live. Follow us on social media at israeldaily.news. We're on X, YouTube, TikTok, and on Instagram. Our page is about to hit 39,000 followers. You can also follow me on my personal page at Shanna Fold. My name has 2 N's in it, and I'm very sensitive about that. And now for a Torah thought by Rabbi Yossi Madvig of Oswego, New York.
This Torah portion is called Balak. And Balak was a wicked, anti-Semitic king who sought to destroy the Jewish people. And if you remember, a couple weeks ago, we had the Parsha of Korach. And Korach was kind of a bad dude. And we asked the question, why would the Torah name the Parsha after such a bad person, such wickedness, right? We know that it says the name of the wicked shall rot, as we said a couple weeks ago. We don't want to mention bad things, and we certainly don't want to eternalize them in the Torah by naming a Torah portion after them. So a couple weeks ago, we discussed why that was a special case. He was actually a pretty righteous person, and he had a particular intent that we had to understand. But here is a completely different situation. He's not Jewish, he's not righteous, he's really nasty, and he wants to kill the Jews. So why would we name a Torah portion after Balak? And there's actually a few lessons that we can gain from this Torah portion of the naming the Torah portion after such a wicked person. And then after we get this lesson, we don't have to do this again because, to my knowledge, I don't think there's any more Torah portions that are named after wicked people. So what are those lessons? The Zohar says that God looked into the Torah and created the world. So Torah is the blueprint of all of creation. So therefore, even the lowest and most debased aspects of the world are part of the Torah and are part of God's plan. So the whole parsha of the Torah is called Balak, which indicates that the existence of even the most wicked and lowest inhabitants of the world are included in the Torah's overall plan. And even more so, the Torah brings to light that ultimately evil only exists in order to be transformed into good. Like it says in Proverbs that God made all things for himself and even the wicked on the day of evil. And the Alter Rebbe, the founder of the Chabad movement, translates this or explains this verse to say that the wicked man will repent from his evil and turn his evil into day, meaning into goodness. So Balak, as he's written in the Torah, represents that good will eventually arise from people such as Balak when they are transformed into goodness. They'll eventually be transformed into goodness. And this is also the inner meaning of why the promise of Mashiach's coming is mentioned in this week's Torah portion. He hires a prophet, a non-Jewish prophet, to curse the Jewish people, and instead, this non-Jewish prophet, Bilam, starts giving all of these blessings. And one of these blessings mentions the coming of Mashiach, the coming of the Redeemer. And that's because the redemption, when that happens, will witness that complete transformation of evil into goodness. And so when we look around in our lives and we see things that are negative, and not just, oh, they appear negative, but really it's good and we don't see it. No, they're actually negative things. We have to recognize that this is all part of God's plan. And we have to pray hard for the coming of Mashiach and for a time when that evil will be completely turned over into good, and the goodness that is latent inside of it, because it's a creation of God, ultimately be revealed. Shabbat Shalom.
Well, wasn't that an intellectual moment? I hope that you all got to thinking and that this brings you some spirituality as you enter the weekend. All right. Well, that is it for today's show. Today is Thursday, July 10th, 2025. Tel Aviv has a low of 26 degrees Celsius and a high of 29 degrees. That's 78 degrees Fahrenheit for the low, going up to 85 degrees for the high. We are everywhere. Don't forget to sign up to our Israel Weekly News Wrap. The Israel Weekly News Wrap is a newsletter with the top 5 stories coming out of Israel from throughout the week. And of course, with a personal note from me at the top, you can sign up for that at israeldailynews.org. I'll send you off with a song called Daleko by Erica Krall and Asher Suisa. Enjoy this song and have a great and productive day and an excellent weekend. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Где-то очень далеко, где рычим течет вино, где живут все как в кино, ждут меня. Я бегу туда, но не знаю никуда. Утекла уже вода, не висел. Я уже иду на взлет, довези меня пилот. Полетели далеко, вынос меня. Где-то очень далеко, далеко. Где-то очень далеко, где рычим течет вино, где живут все как в кино, ждут меня. Я бегу туда, но не знаю никуда. Утекла уже вода, не висел. Я уже иду на взлет, довези меня пилот. Полетели далеко, вынос меня. Где-то очень далеко. Далеко. горячим течет вино, где живут все как кино, ждут меня.